Yes, you clicked the link. So I just want to tell you the story of how we got to where we are now and what we feel Jesus is telling us to do in the next season. Now, obviously, I'm going to leave out a lot of information, a lot of details, but I want to get to the core of the story. So we came back from America, and we felt that we must volunteer at a church plant here in Mossel Bay. So we came, and it was great, but we started to look for something else to do as well, because the volunteering at the church didn't take a lot of time. So we started looking for something else, and Jesus wasn't he was quiet. God was quiet in what we must do. The only thing that he told me to do was to go to a prison once a week. And the morning I was walking on the beach and I had a coffee, and I felt God tell me to go to a prison, and I was like, I don't even know anybody who goes to a prison. And on that beach I met somebody that had a prison ministry that goes, and I went with them. I started to go with them one morning a week, just for like an hour. And it wasn't enough to make our time up, to look for more ministry partners, to do anything. So I was still looking for something to do, still looking for stuff to do. And there was just nothing. There was no jobs available. There was no finance available. And it felt to me like I was starting to grab. And Jesus was quiet. He only told me to do that prison ministry once a week, and there wasn't anything else. So we started to really scale back on finances and how we run our house. And something needed to change. Something needed to happen, because the situation was starting to become pretty dire. So a friend of mine said, hey, he feels that I must go and look at some of my mentors face to face. Buy a ticket, fly to Johannesburg, speak to people you trust and know. So I flew up, and the first evening that I was there, I was eating pizza in Puppuccinos, and a friend walks in who I didn't contact. And the chance of the two of us just being there in that moment was just very rare. And we booked a coffee date for us 2 days later. So 2 days later, I sat an hour with this friend, and he asked me just what happened. Now I'm trying to put a lot of information into a short meeting of what happened. It was America, and then South Africa, and then Mossel Bay, and what's going on. And he's just asking me questions about the prison, because that's the only thing that God said that I must do. So what about the prison? I said, the prison is interesting. I mean, these kids, they were very naughty. They did very bad things. But I spent every week I spent time with the same 12 guys. And it's been about 2 months. And then you start to really love them. You start to see that they are just kids. And they've done very bad things. But the statistic is 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10 will change. 9 out of 10 will always come back to prison. The one person that changes, the impact that he has in his community is almost like you can't measure it. The impact that he has on his legacy, on his kids, on his community. That one person, that's the reason why that prison ministry is there, is to reach that one person. So he asked me the question, how do you make 1 2? How do you make one person 2 out of 10? How do you take 1 from 2? And I said, I don't know. I think they've done everything they can, and I think they've explored how to do different ministries. And this discipleship course that takes about 3 months, that's the best way that they know how to do it. I think you should reach them before that. They all sit with the same things. They all sit without mentors, without parents, without education, and then they just fall into really bad habits over and over again. So you have to reach them before that. Before that, you have to go into the township and do something, build some kind of youth community center, some kind of a skills development center, some kind of something, some kind of mentorship system, just to get them out of trouble beforehand. The only person I knew lived in Meisenberg that I've been to his ministry. He climbed on the mountain and he looked at his township, and he said it was as big as a matchbox. And he said, Jesus, I just want to influence that place. So I think what they did is, in the beginning, they started to give a schooling to some kids, just take them through matric. They started to do all different kinds of training, from woodwork, I think welding, cooking. They did barista classes, computer skills, just kingdom principles, just mentorships. And they've really started to influence their community there in Meisenberg. I said, I'll phone this guy. And so I did, just after this meeting. And I haven't spoken to this guy for about 5-6 years, so he couldn't remember me. He was like, Pete, who Pete, Pete. I said, Pete, man, I have 5 kids, 5 boys. I was in America. It's like, because who forgets somebody that has 5 boys? It's like, man, how's America? I'm like, no, I'm back. I started going to this prison ministry, and I want to learn from you. What did you guys do? Just like, see what did you do? And he says, is it about the prison or where is it? Because remember, they are not a prison ministry. They are like a youth development center. And I said, no, it's not about the prison. It's before the prison. It's reaching the youth, reaching those kids in Kwanonquaba, Mossel Bay. And he says he can't believe that I just phoned him from Mossel Bay. This morning, he prayed and he asked God, when is the guy from Mossel Bay phoning? So apparently about a month or so before I phoned him, somebody prophesied and said they must write down their whole structure, everything they did, like the principles that it's based on, what they did, what worked, how do you get funding, how does your leadership structure look like, all those things. They must write it down, because it's going to be like somebody's going to throw a stone and it's going to bounce once on water and it's going to land in Mossel Bay. People are going to contact them to ask them about their structure and how they built this thing that they have built. And about 3 days ago, somebody from Heidelberg phoned him, and that morning he was praying and telling God, like, when's the guy from Mossel Bay phoning? And here I am phoning from Mossel Bay, asking the exact question that he has been working on. So in our next season, which is a very long season, I think, it's going to be a tricky season. It is a beautiful season. We will be somehow trying to build a development center, a youth center, something that has to do with training in Kwanonquaba. It starts with the relationships, and I've already established a few relationships, and I'm going to start with ministries there and taking hands, and I've got the blueprint from the guys in Meisenberg, and we're going to try to build something that I believe Jesus is on. And if you have listened to the video up until now, we've always called ourselves musicianaries because we used to do music, but we've actually turned into proper missionaries now. Just like going into places where not a lot of people go into, and trying to make a massive difference for Jesus and the kingdom in community. So if you've listened up until now, I want to ask you, will you not please consider supporting our family of 7, that we can tackle this thing with all our might. You will be the ones that establishes our home, so that I can go out and do the work that I believe Jesus is calling me to. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching up until now. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I would love to get in contact with you and hearing your thoughts as well. Thank you so much, and have an awesome, blessed day.